Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're plunging headfirst into a vision of the future so transformative. Um, Ray Kurzweil himself suggests that all the change in the last million years will be superseded by the change in the next 5 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, that's a statement that really grabs you, isn't it? We're exploring the ideas from his seminal 2005 book, The Singularity Is Near, When Humans Transcend Biology.
Yeah.
A vision that, yeah, many people find both frightening and enlightening.
Absolutely. And our mission today really is to pull out the most compelling insights, the really surprising facts and the core concepts from Kurzweil's work.
Hmm.
We want to help you, our listener, make sense of this clear-eyed, sharply focused vision of the not-so-distant future and what it could mean for all of us.
Yeah, and we're just unpacking his arguments, right? Not taking sides,
Yeah.
just laying out what he predicts, which is fascinating stuff, sometimes pretty radical.
Exactly. So maybe we should start with Kurzweil himself. His background seems key to understanding his perspective.
Definitely. He was apparently really into those Tom Swift Jr. books as a kid, where ingenuity always saves the day. And that seems to have given him this deep, almost veneration for human creativity and the power of ideas. He calls himself a patternist.
A patternist. What does that mean exactly?
It means he sees patterns of information as, like, the fundamental reality. That's crucial for how he views things like identity later on, the whole mind-uploading idea.
Got it. Okay, so let's dive into that core concept then. What is the singularity?
Right. So the singularity, in his view, is this future period, probably in the first half of this century, he thinks. It's a time when technological change just goes into overdrive. So fast, so impactful, that human life fundamentally, irreversibly transforms.
Irreversibly transformed. That sounds, well, huge. Is he just talking about, like, life speeding up or something deeper?
Oh, way deeper. He argues it'll change everything, our business models, economics, even the human life cycle itself, like even death.
Wow.
And it's not necessarily, utopia or dystopia in his book. It's just a massive shift, a rupture in the fabric of space and time, as he puts it.
A rupture. Does he have, like, an analogy to help grasp that? It's hard to picture.
Yeah, he does. He compares it to a black hole. You know how matter and energy get warped as they approach the event horizon? He sees the singularity like that. As we get closer, it pulls everything, our institutions, our lives, into its accelerating influence, transforming it all.
That's a really powerful image. Okay, so what's the engine behind this? What's driving this crazy acceleration? Is it just computers getting faster?
That's what a lot of people think, but it's broader. Kurzweil calls it the law of accelerating returns.
The law of accelerating returns. Okay.
It's this fundamental principle, he says, that describes exponential growth in, well, all evolutionary processes, but especially information-based technologies like computing.
So it's much bigger than just Moore's law, the whole transistors doubling every 2 years thing.
Yeah, exactly. Moore's law is a perfect example, right? But it's just one example. This law of accelerating returns, he argues, applies to all technology.
Huh.
And get this, even the rate at which big new ideas, paradigm shifts happen is speeding up. Think agriculture versus the internet. The time between major world-changing shifts keeps getting shorter.
Right. Things happen much faster now. And he connects this to the idea of complexity increasing, doesn't he? How does he define complexity here?
Yeah, he defines it as the minimum amount of meaningful, non-random, but unpredictable information needed to characterize a system. Basically, how much info you need to describe something complex, but not just random noise.
Oh, okay.
And evolution, both biological and technological, constantly cranks up this complexity. And sometimes, like, tiny information differences lead to huge jumps.
Like what?
Well, the genetic difference between us and chimps, he says it's only a few 100,000 bytes of data.
Seriously, that's tiny.
Isn't it? Think about what that small difference enabled language, abstract thought, oral tech. It really makes you see information differently,
Definitely. And technologies themselves, they follow a kind of pattern, right? Like an S-curve, not just straight line progress.
Exactly right. He lays out 7 stages. Invention, development, maturity. Then false pretenders.
False pretenders.
Yeah, like early versions that don't quite cut it. Then obsolescence, and finally antiquity. As examples, bookmaking. Movable type was the invention. It matured.
Right.
Then, maybe 20 years before his book, you got the first electronic books. But they were kind of clunky, right? Bad screens, not like paper. Those are the false pretenders.
Ah, I see. So the old way sticks around until the new tech really works better.
Precisely. He makes the point that no communication technology has ever disappeared. It just becomes less important as new stuff comes along. The telegraph still exists, technically.
Sure.
Ebooks eventually got there with better screens, higher resolution, better contrast. So sometimes it's about perfecting the idea, not just having it.
Okay, that makes sense. So we have this law of accelerating returns driving everything. And Kurzweil then focuses on three huge revolutions stemming from it. GNR, he calls them.
Yep. GNR, genetics, nanotechnology, and robotics. That's where he sees the really big transformations kicking in.
All right, let's start with G-genetics. How does he see us redesigning our own biology?
Well, first, he frames DNA itself as basically a digital computer. You've got the 4 letters encoding 2 bits of info per rung on the ladder.
Right, A, T, C, G.
Exactly. And enzymes act like the processor, copying it, error checking, with incredible accuracy, like 1 mistake in 10 billion. It's this amazing biological information system.
And understanding that code lets us reprogram it.
That's the idea, which leads directly into radical life extension. That's a huge theme for him personally, too.
Yeah, I read he's very focused on his own health regimen because of these ideas.
He talks about 3 bridges to living radically longer. First bridge, just applying what we already know about health, but really aggressively. Second bridge, harnessing the biotech revolution, gene therapy, stuff like that, which was really taking off when he wrote the book. And the third bridge, that's nanotechnology, which we'll get to.
And he used himself as an example, didn't he, with diabetes?
Yeah, he reversed his type 2 diabetes through, as he puts it, aggressively reprogramming his biochemistry. He fundamentally sees aging and disease as problems technology can solve, not inevitable facts of life.
So what kind of biotech tools did he see coming down the pike?
Well, things like RNA interference, RNAi, that's a way to basically turn off specific genes, like ones causing diseases. You block the messenger RNA.
So you could silence a faulty gene.
Potentially, yeah. For viral diseases, maybe cancer, and cancer vaccines too, training your own immune system to go after cancer cells.
And what about actually replacing parts, organs, tissues? That always sounds futuristic.
Well, he talks about therapeutic cloning. Not cloning whole people, but creating replacement tissues, young, healthy tissues, with your corrected DNA that your body won't reject.
Okay, so tailor-made spare parts.
Kind of. And even more advanced is transdifferentiation. That's turning one cell type into another. Like, take easy-to-get skin cells and reprogram them to become, say, pancreatic cells for diabetes or kidney tissue, or even, he suggests, a whole new heart. Your DNA, but biologically young again because of resetting the telomeres.
Wow. Just, wow. A new heart from skin cells. And he extends this thinking beyond just health, right? Even to world hunger.
Yeah, that's a really interesting application, using cloning tech to grow meat, actual animal muscle tissue in factories.
Lab-grown meat.
It's essentially.
Yeah.
And he lists the benefits. Potentially super low cost, better nutrition control, huge environmental pluses compared to traditional farming, less land, less water.
And no animal suffering.
Exactly. A huge ethical dimension. It could be a complete game changer for food production, potentially ending hunger while being kinder to the planet.
Okay, so that's genetics. Let's move to nanotechnology, building things atom by atom. How does this change computing first?
Right, so nanotech deals with stuff under 100 nanometers. Kurzweil sees this leading to the 6th paradigm of computing, 3-dimensional molecular computing.
6th paradigm. What were the others?
He traces them from electromechanical calculators, relays, vacuum tubes, transistors, integrated circuits, and now molecules.
Got it.
And the potential is mind-blowing. Think carbon nanotubes, just a nanometer wide. They could operate at terahertz speeds. He calculates that 1 cubic inch of this stuff could be like 100 million times more powerful than the human brain.
100 million times. That's almost impossible to conceive of. And this power enables those sci-fi ideas, like nanobots in the body.
Absolutely. That's a core part of the vision. Tiny robots in your bloodstream doing diagnostics, delivering therapies directly.
Like what, specifically?
He mentions designs by Robert Freire Jr., like respirosites. Think robotic red blood cells, so efficient you could supposedly sprint for 15 minutes without breathing.
Seriously.
That's the concept. Or microherbivores, bats that act like white blood cells, hunting down and digesting pathogens, like a programmable immune system.
So it goes beyond just curing disease then. It's about radically upgrading the body, changing what biology is.
Totally. Nanobots could potentially fix the DNA errors that cause aging, reprogram genes on the fly, defeat any pathogen. He even talks about maybe replacing the cell nucleus itself with a nanosystem.
Whoa!
By the late 2020s, he projected nanobots could deliver nutrients directly to cells, making organs like your stomach, intestines, liver, kidneys obsolete.
Obsolete. So we wouldn't need them.
The idea is you could eat whatever we want just for taste, pleasure, because the nanobots handle nutrition and waste perfectly. Even your skeleton and skin could be augmented or replaced with superior nanomaterials.
So by the 2030s, we might not have many biological organs left.
That's his projection. Heart, lungs, pancreas, kidneys.
Yeah.
All potentially replaced by vastly superior nanosystems performing the same functions, but better, and without disease or aging.
It's a fundamental shift away from biology as we know it. Does nanotech help with bigger picture stuff too, like energy or the environment?
Oh yeah, big time. Clean energy is a major potential application. Nanotube power lines with almost zero transmission loss. Super efficient nanosolar panels. And for the environment, nanobots could actively clean up pollution, remove greenhouse gases, maybe redesign industrial processes entirely so they don't create waste in the first place.
Good, but this sounds incredibly powerful. What about the downsides, the classic sci-fi fear? The gray goo problem. Nanobots replicating out of control.
He tackles that head on. He acknowledges the risk, absolutely. But his answer isn't to stop development. It's to build defenses.
Like what?
A kind of technological immune system. Defensive nanobots designed specifically to identify and neutralize any rogue replicators.
An immune system for technology itself.
Exactly. And he advocates for fine-grained relinquishment, not banning nanotech altogether, which he thinks would be disastrous, stopping medical cures and causing immense suffering, but having specific rules, like the Foresight Institute's guideline against self-replicating things in the wild, unless they're part of that immune system or, say, for space exploration. Smart limits, not a blanket ban. He compares it to computer viruses. We don't abandon the internet, we build better security.
That makes sense. Okay, that brings us to the R robotics, and specifically strong AI. Intelligence that matches or exceeds human intelligence. We hear about AI all the time, but there was that AI winter, right?
There was, yeah, in the 80s when early hype didn't pan out. But Kurzweil argues that AI didn't die, it just became invisible. Pervasive narrow AI.
Narrow AI.
AI that does one specific task really well, often better than humans. Diagnosing diseases from scans, detecting credit card fraud, optimizing airport logistics, robots in factories, even self-healing software. It's everywhere, embedded in systems.
Okay, like the autopilot on a plane, sort of?
Kinda, yeah. Or even those military drones. He mentions the idea of tiny UAVs, like bumblebee-sized, navigating using systems reverse engineered from actual bee brains.
Bee brains. Okay, so narrow AI is common. But what about the big goal, human-level general intelligence?
Well, progress in understanding the brain, reverse engineering it, is key. He gives estimates for the brain's computing power, around 10 to the 14 calculations per second, memory around 10 to the 13 bits.
Big numbers.
Huge. And based on that law of accelerating returns for hardware, he predicted that by 2020, you could buy the hardware equivalent of one human brain for about a dollar.
Did that happen? Seems like maybe not quite on that timeline.
The timelines are always debatable, of course, but the trend of computational power per dollar is definitely exponential. His further predictions were $1,000 buying the power of a village of human brains by 2030.
A village.
And exceeding all human brains on Earth combined by 2050.
But it's not just about the hardware speed, is it? You need the software, the intelligence part.
Exactly. Hardware gets you the potential, but you need to understand the software of intelligence. That's the harder part. But here, non-biological intelligence has a massive advantage. Knowledge sharing. You or I learn something, it's stuck in our heads. It takes time to teach someone else. But an AI can learn something and instantly share that exact knowledge perfectly with millions of other AIs. Their learning curve could be incredibly steep because of that networking effect.
That's a huge difference. So what are we learning about our own brain's software that helps build AI?
Well, scientists are mapping specific regions in incredible detail, like the cerebellum, which seems to handle diverse tasks despite a uniform structure, or the cochlear nucleus in hearing, and identifying specialized cells like spindle cells. Apparently, these are mostly found in humans and great apes, and seem linked to emotional intelligence, rapid social intuition. Understanding those could be key to creating AI with more human-like understanding.
And we're already merging biology and electronics, right, with implants.
Yeah, neural implants show that our biological neurons can learn to communicate with electronic ones. It shows a pathway for integration is possible.
Which leads us to maybe the most mind-bending idea, uploading the human brain. What does Kurzweil mean by that?
It means scanning your brain, every neuron, every connection, every chemical state that makes up your memories, personality, skills, all the important patterns.
Okay.
And then basically copying or transferring that pattern into a powerful computer substrate, reinstantiating you in a digital form.
Right. The ultimate philosophical question then becomes, is that digital copy really you? Especially if your original body is still around.
Exactly. It's a profound question about identity. What makes you, you?
And how does Kurzweil, the patternist, answer that?
He comes back to his core idea. He argues, look, your physical body isn't static. Your atoms and molecules are constantly being replaced. You aren't the same physical stuff you were years ago.
True.
What persists, he says, is the pattern, the organization of that matter in energy. So if identity lies in the pattern, not the substrate, then continuing that pattern in a digital substrate is still you. It's continuity of pattern that matters.
It's a logical argument from his perspective, but definitely feels strange.
Oh, absolutely. It challenges deeply held intuitions about selfhood.
And if we exist as patterns, biological or digital, what does that mean for how we experience reality? He talks about full immersion virtual reality, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
enabled by those nanobots we talked about, interfacing directly with our senses and nervous system from the inside.
So VR wouldn't just be goggles and gloves anymore?
No, it could be totally indistinguishable from physical reality. Or you could choose environments that deliberately break the laws of physics, fly, walk through walls, whatever.
Wow.
He even imagines experience beamers sharing your full sensory and emotional feed with someone else.
Yeah.
Letting them literally experience what you're experiencing.
Like empathy on steroids?
Kind of. And you could choose any virtual body, interact with purely artificial people who might seem completely real. The lines between real and virtual, human and AI, work and play, they could blur entirely.
Okay, these ideas are just massive. Let's zoom out a bit. What are the wider implications Kurzweil sees? How does all this affect, say, the economy?
Well, he sees continued exponential economic growth, driven by completely new kinds of value created by GNR technologies. Think genetic data, nanotech materials, AI software, virtual real estate.
Right, new industries.
Exactly. And he argues recessions might become less impactful, just blips in the overall upward curve, because innovation creates new growth so quickly.
And what about inequality, the digital divide?
Interestingly, he argues the divide is actually shrinking rapidly. The cost of communication and computing keeps dropping, so more and more people worldwide get access, leapfrogging old infrastructure limits. It could be a massive democratizing force, giving billions access to information and economic opportunities.
That's a more optimistic take than you sometimes hear. Okay, shifting gears again. He even tackles the Fermi paradox. Why the universe seems so quiet.
Yeah, it's fascinating. If his law of accelerating returns is universal, then any advanced civilization out there should have hit their own singularity long ago. They should be incredibly advanced, maybe expanding across the galaxy at relativistic speed. So where are they?
Yeah.
Their silence becomes even more puzzling if technology accelerates like he thinks.
So what are the possible answers?
He doesn't claim to know, but lists possibilities. Maybe they destroy themselves. Maybe they have a strict non-interference policy like Star Trek's Prime Directive. Or maybe they've transitioned to a state or communication method we simply can't detect or comprehend. Maybe they exist in the fabric of space-time itself or something.
Wow, okay. Which connects to another big idea, the universe itself becoming conscious.
Yeah, he touches on this idea that the universe might be, in a way, computing itself. That computation is existence.
That's pretty deep.
It is. And he talks about the anthropic principle, the observation that the universe's physical constants seem weirdly fine-tuned to allow life like us to exist. Is that just luck? One universe among many? Or does it imply something deeper?
And Kurzweil thinks...
He makes the really bold claim that the universe is not conscious yet, but it will be. He sees the spread of intelligence, starting with us and our technology, as the universe essentially waking up, reaching a sixth epoch of sublime intelligence.
The universe waking up through us. That brings us back to consciousness and identity again. If AI can be conscious, if the universe can, what is consciousness?
That's the ultimate mystery, isn't it? Kurzweil points out, correctly, that there's no objective test for it. We assume other humans are conscious because they act like us, but we can't prove it. It's subjective.
Right.
So how will we decide if an advanced AI is conscious? If it acts conscious, looks conscious, claims to be conscious? How do we know? It's a huge philosophical tangle. He even jokes about why his consciousness is tied to his body and not someone else's, suggesting identity is about the pattern, which could, in theory, be anywhere.
Okay, with all this incredible power, GNR, AI comes incredible risk, surely. Bioweapons, runaway AI. How does he propose we handle these existential threats?
His stance is strongly against broad relinquishment, meaning we shouldn't just stop developing these powerful technologies out of fear.
Why not? The risks seem huge.
He argues that trying to enforce a global ban would require a totalitarian regime, which itself is dangerous and probably impossible anyway with decentralized tech. Plus, abandoning the tech means abandoning the cures for cancer, solutions to poverty, ways to clean the environment. The cost of not developing it, he thinks, is far higher.
So what's the alternative?
Develop defensive technologies alongside the offensive ones. Use AI to detect biothreats faster. Build that nanotech immune system. Streamline regulations so the good uses, the life-saving ones, can develop quickly, but build in safeguards. Again, like the computer virus analogy, you don't unplug the internet, you build better firewalls and antivirus software.
Fight fire with fire, essentially.
Right, a constant vigilance, a technological arms race, maybe, but one where the benefits, he believes, vastly outweigh the risks if managed wisely.
So, after all this, transforming biology, merging with machines, potentially living indefinitely, what does Kurzweil see as the ultimate purpose of life in this future?
His personal philosophy seems to be that life's purpose is about creating and appreciating knowledge, increasing order and complexity in the universe. He sees intelligence, human and artificial, as the universe's way of doing that.
So overcoming limitations, even death, isn't just about survival.
No, he sees death as a tragedy because it destroys unique patterns of knowledge and experience. The singularity, for him, isn't just about survival. It's about unlocking an explosion of creativity, art, science, understanding, making life vastly more meaningful by expanding our capacity for knowledge and connection.
What a journey through this vision. We've really covered a lot. The singularity itself, this relentless law of accelerating returns driving genetics, nanotechnology, robotics.
Yeah, and the incredible shifts he predicts for our bodies, our identities, even reality. It's a lot to process.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it leaves you, the listener, with some big questions, doesn't it? If, as Kurzweil suggests, your physical body is temporary and it's the pattern of your mind that matters, how does that change how you think about who you are and what the future might hold?
It definitely gives you perspective.
And maybe final thought to leave you with. If, as Kurzweil posits, the universe itself is somehow computing itself towards greater intelligence, maybe our whole journey into this singularity isn't just about humanity's future, but it's part of the universe waking up through us.